ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are reading the last part of Madhurya Kadambini, which is the stage of Prema. And yesterday we discussed how Krishna momentarily appears in front of the devotee, and the devotee, through his eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and touch, experiences Krishna. But this is very momentary, and then because of that, his craving, longing, because of separation, goes on increasing. So now in today's section, we will read in little bit more detail about how exactly the devotee experiences Krishna. So how Krishna reveals himself at this stage of bhakti. The Lord first reveals his beauty to the eyes of the devotee in this remarkable condition. What is the condition of the devotee? He has absolutely no external consciousness. He has no consciousness about this material world. He is just constantly, hankering for Krishna. Anything and everything he sees, he wants to see Krishna. He's in that kind of a remarkable condition. It's a remarkable condition. Because in this material world, we start with being so much absorbed materially, and then bhakti takes us to being similarly absorbed in the Lord. It's a remarkable condition. On account of the sweetness of that beauty. So Lord reveals his beauty first. He reveals his beauty to the eyes of the devotee. And on account of the sweetness of that beauty, all the senses and the mind take on the quality of eyes, and obstacles such as paralysis, shaking, and tears are generated. Okay, so this is maybe difficult to understand. On account of the sweetness of the beauty. So Krishna's beauty is so sweet. All the senses take on the quality of the eyes and the mind, meaning even every all the sense, eyes, ears, nose, etc., everything is trying to act like eyes to experience the sweetness of the beauty of Krishna. Mind we can understand. So when the eyes are able to see the beauty of the Lord, mind automatically gets hooked on to the sweetness of that beauty. Now, but that is a normal process. Dhyayato vishan pumsan sangasteshu vijayate. Right? So when any sense gets hooked on to any material object, then mind, only when the mind focuses on that particular object will the jiva get stuck, right? Like dhyayato vishan pumsan. When the dhyana, that uh, mind has to focus on something, right? Otherwise, the senses, even if they are just something we are hearing, something we are seeing, but as long as the mind doesn't give attention to it, it is not important for us, right? So yeah, when the eyes see Krishna, the mind immediately gets hooked on to the form and beauty. That is usual, but what is unusual here is other. senses also want to experience the beauty. While the nose cannot see, but the nose still wants to experience the sweetness of Krishna's beautiful form. This is this is not usual. It is unusual, and because of which, what happens? The devotee experiences some obstacles. These obstacles are in the form of paralysis, shaking, tears, etc. So it's a condition where the body is now going into a realm which is not designed for. The ears are not designed to see Krishna. So in such sense, it's like the all the senses of the body are acting weirdly, like differently, not unusually, because of which there are obstacles that the living entity experiences, like paralysis, shaking, tears, etc. When this happens, devotee swoons. Swoon is like a drunken state, like you're drunk and you're swoon, like you're like moving from one side to another, right? To awaken the devotee, the Lord secondly reveals his fragrance. Now, so in this state, like almost he's like not in control at all. All his senses, everything has been captured by the beauty of Krishna, right? So devotee like faints, right? So he's like he literally faints. He experiences all these paralysis, shaking, tears, etc., and then he faints. To awaken the devotee, what does the Lord do? Lord now reveals his fragrance to the nostrils of the devotee. So he's fainted, literally, but by the inconceivable power of the Lord, the nostrils of the devotee are able to smell the fragrance of Krishna. And by this, the devotee's senses take on the quality of the nose in order to smell. So he literally like now comes back conscious. Now what? All the senses now want to become like nose. To smell the sweet fragrance of Krishna. Just imagine one, some simple, nice agarbatti or somebody wearing a perfume. We get so, it can attract us, right? But this fragrance of Krishna is unbelievable, is inconceivable. So it's so sweet that devotees, all the senses want to take on the quality of nose in order to smell the sweet fragrance of Krishna. Again, the devotee swoons in bliss. Right? If I'm right, swoon actually means faint, right? Faint, yeah, especially from extreme pain. So again, swoons in bliss. Again, is so much of happiness that he faints. The Lord then reveals his sonorous voice. All like super adjectives. Imposingly deep and full, rich, resonant, ringing voice, sonorous voice to the devotee's ears. What does he say? Oh, my devotee, I have become yours. Do not become confused. Experience me fully. Krishna is telling this to the devotee. All the senses become like ears to hear. And for the third time, the devotee faints. First, he fainted by looking at the form, sweetness of the form. Second, he fainted after smelling the sweetness of his fragrance. Third, he faints hearing the sweetness of his words, of his voice. The Lord then mercifully gives the touch of his lotus foot, his hands, and his chest to the devotee. And the devotee experiences the Lord's fresh youthfulness. Now, this is touch. Now, this is important. To those in the mood of servant, he bestows his lotus feet on their heads. To those in the mood of friendship, he grasps their hands with his. To those in the mood of parental affection, With his hand, he wipes away their tears. And to those in conjugal mood, he embraces, touching them with his hands and chest. So, according to the mood of the devotee, Lord mercifully gives the touch. Then the devotee senses all take on the sense of touch, and the devotee faints for a fourth time. The Lord then restores him by giving the taste from his own lips, revealing the form suitable to their worship. Again, this depends. This, however, is revealed only to those in conjugal mode. So, this giving the taste of his lips, basically, he'll kiss the devotee, but this is only for those in the conjugal mood. The devotee senses take on the sense of taste and he faints for a fifth time. This blissful swoon is so deep that the Lord must revive him by bestowing his audarya, generosity, the sixth type of mercy. So, five types of mercies have been given. The sixth type of mercy is audarya. Audarya refers to the state in which simultaneously all of the Lord's qualities. Just imagine all of the Lord's qualities, his beauty, fragrance, sound, touch, taste, all suddenly manifest to the devotee's various senses. It's unbearable. Just each and every single quality, like beauty itself, devotee fainted. Fragrance alone, devotee fainted. Now all the five manifest themselves parallelly, suddenly. At this stage, Prema, which understands the aim of the Lord, increases to the extreme. Prema, which is Shakti, understands the aim of the Lord. So it increases to the extreme to which there is no corresponding extreme increase, to which there is a corresponding extreme increase in craving for more, and having of its own become a moon, it spontaneously creates in the devotee's heart a tearing friction amongst the simultaneous emotions. Like I said, it is unbearable. Like when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing all this, we don't understand. It just looks like craziness. Tearing friction among the simultaneous emotions. It's all going in different directions. A conflict of 100 waves in the ocean of bliss, and then that moon spreads its power by assuming the form of a presiding deity of his mind. By this means, Prema bestows its influence so that one can experience the different tastes simultaneously without conflict. This is also the mercy, because with uh, one drop of bliss only, like each individual feature itself, the devotee was fainting. Now Prema bestows its influence. So this is again special mercy, so that the devotee can experience the different tastes simultaneously without conflict. So now the different senses are not trying to grab onto one aspect. So eyes is seeing, ears are hearing, nose is smelling, etc. So without conflict. Previously there was a conflict. Now without conflict, they all are experiencing the different tastes simultaneously. One should not think that the intense craving of the mind will cause dilution of the various tastes. Rather, all of the senses attaining the inconceivable, astonishing, extraordinary quality to perform the functions of the other senses to appreciate the Lord's various qualities give more intensity the taste. In these matters, one cannot use harsh material arguments evolved from material experiences. Achintya khalu ye bhava na tams tarkena yojayet. The inconceivable is not subject to mundane logic. So we should not try to use logic to understand how does this work. Uh, it's just inconceivable, extraordinary, astonishing. But the same senses which were conflicting before now are not conflicting, and they're simultaneously experiencing the different tastes, you know. And then the Lord, seeing the devotee like a Chataka bird trying to taste the totality of raindrops, who desires to taste all of the sweetness of his beauty, fragrance, sound, touch, taste, and audarya, but is unable to do so, considers, why am I holding so many wonderful qualities to myself? And the Lord is now feeling bad that the devotee is not able to experience everything fully. He's not able to taste all the sweetness. So the Lord is thinking, why am I so why am I holding so many wonderful qualities to myself? Now, last most important part, to let the devotee enjoy them completely, the Lord manifests his kripa shakti, also called anugraha. the central pole of all energies, the supreme controlling energy, which is described in the scriptures as a queen in the middle of a lotus, whose 8 petals are the 8 Swarupa Shaktis: Vimala, Utkarshini, Gnana, Kriya, Yoga, Prafi, Satya, and Ishana, and which is called by several names such as Vatsalya, affection, or Karunya, compassion, in relation to his devotees in the mood of servant, and Chetodrava, Lord's heart melts in relation to devotees in conjugal mood, and which makes the devotee visible to the lotus eyes of the Lord. By this Kripa Shakti, that element of the Lord's all-pervading free will, Icha Shakti, appears in the devotees and causes great astonishment even in those who have realized Paramatma. By this energy, the Lord's affection for his devotees, like an emperor, rules over all the other auspicious constitutional qualities of the Lord, which are mentioned by earth personified in the first canto of Bhagavatam. Because the devotee is not able to experience all the taste, all the sweetness, Lord manifests his Kripa Shakti, which is the central Shakti, the central pole of all energies. And it is called by several names. It's called as Vatsalya in relation to devotees in Dasya, Chetodrava in relation to devotees in conjugal, and makes the devotee visible to the lotus eyes of the Lord. By this Kripa Shakti, uh, the element of the Lord's all-pervading free will, Icha Shakti, appears in the devotees and causes great astonishment. So it causes great astonishment. Mm. By this energy, the Lord's affection for his devotees rules over all the other auspicious constitutional qualities. And so this um, affection, this Kripa Shakti, it is the most important characteristic, right, of all other Shaktis. In Bhagavatam, first canto, Bhumi Devi actually describes in that conversation between the Dharma and Bhumi. Bhumi describes that what is the cause for her distress, saying that all these qualities, Earth said, you know all the Dharma about which you are asking me. I am lamenting the population which is now influenced by the sinful glance of Kali, and which is devoid of the Lord, the abode of Lakshmi, the abode of qualities, by whose power you existed with 4 legs, which gave benefit to the people, and in whom reside the following eternal great qualities which do not disappear at any time. So these are 40 qualities which are described here: truthfulness, purity, compassion, control of anger, generosity. So whatever quality we hear here is also minutely present in us, but they're not manifested yet because we are not completely pure. Self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, control of mind, control of external senses, following his caste role during pastimes, meaning if he's doing Vatsalya, then he'll play that role. If Madhurya, he'll play that role, etc. Neutrality to all, tolerance, indifference to material enjoyment, consideration of scripture, omniscience, distaste for material enjoyment, control of others, determination in battle, influence, skill, defining social duties, independence, expertise in arts, beauty, lack of confusion, tenderness, boldness, modesty, being good natured, sharpness of mind, sharpness of knowledge, senses and action senses, the abode of enjoyment, imperturbability, steadiness, faith, fame, respectability, lack of pride, as well as other qualities desirable for those who want greatness. The form of the Lord is without the 18 great faults, is endowed with all powers, and is the very essence of existence. Anyway, so this is just describing how the Lord is, has all, is the abode of all qualities, and there are 18 faults which don't exist. There are 18 great faults. We can read that here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the 18 great faults don't exist in the Lord. So the 18 condemned qualities are not present in the body of the Lord, but in compliance to the Kripa Shakti, even these qualities become present sometimes in the various avatars such as Rama and Krishna, and become realized by the devotees as excellent qualities. So there are already all these amazing good qualities, and Kripa Shakti is the root, or foundation, or what is the word that is used? Um, so it rules over all these qualities, right? The Lord's affection, Kripa Shakti, it rules over all these qualities, which are all great qualities which are present in the Lord. And normally the 18 faults are not present in the Lord, but in avatars such as Rama and Krishna, even the 18 faults appear. They're condemned, but they appear, and they become realized by devotees as excellent qualities. Anyway, for this we have to read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Attaining the power to taste all the Lord's qualities, such as his beauty and fragrance, and tasting each one, the devotee ascends to higher and higher peaks of astonishing experience, and his heart melts on incessant realization of the Lord's unprecedented affection for his devotee. So he realizes this because he is not able to perceive the Lord, but by his affection, by his Kripa Shakti, he is able to now experience the Lord, and the devotee realizes that it is unprecedented affection shown by the Lord. So his heart melts. Then the Lord, displaying his wonderful nature, says, O best of devotees, many births you have given up, wife, many births, please see. Who are these devotees? Many births you have given up, wife, house, and wealth for my sake, and out of obligation to serve me. You have endured the miseries of cold, wind, hunger, thirst, and pain, tolerated the contempt of other men, taking to a life of begging. In payment for all your sacrifice, I cannot give you anything. I become your debtor, since lordship over the whole earth, taking the post of demigod and acquisition of mystic powers are unsuitable for you. How can I give them to you? One cannot give grass and straw, the enjoyment of cows to any human being. Though I am unconquerable, I have just now been conquered by you. I live for you and dance for you. See, look at this. I'm hanging on to the creeper of your good qualities for support. Lord is saying this. So Lord becomes conquered by the devotee because of his intense sadhana over multiple lifetimes, where he has strived hard to get the mercy of the Lord, and he finally gets it. And the Lord is appreciating. He's saying that, what can I give you? I live for you and dance for you. I give myself to you. Hearing the sweet, affectionate words of the Lord, the devotee says, O Lord, O Master, ocean of mercy, you glanced upon me while I was being bitten by an array of crocodiles, the infinite miseries of endless births and deaths amidst the terrifying current of material existence. O Lord, transcendental to all the material planets, whose butter-like heart melts as it manifests mercy, O original Guru, O destroyer of ignorance in the form of such qualities as lust, by manifesting the Sudarshana Chakra of your wonderful form. You have pierced those crocodiles and freed me from the clutches of their teeth. To fulfill my desire to serve your lotus feet, you placed the syllables of your mantra in my ears. You destroyed my suffering. You purified me by the process of constant hearing, chanting, and remembering your qualities and name, and made me understand how to perform service to you through the association of devotees. So, devotee is saying that, this is the process. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying this is the process. To fulfill my desire to serve your lotus feet, what should one do? Chant the mantra, uh, place it in the ears, which means Shravanam, destroyed my suffering. So, in a devotee's life, suffering will end. Lord purifies him by the process of constant hearing, chanting, and remembering Lord's qualities and names. So, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Bhagavata, and made me understand how to perform service to you through the association of devotees, association of devotees. That's it. These three things is what will take us to this state. I'm unintelligent, the lowest of the low, and even for one day have not rendered you service. Humility of the devotee. Such a miserly, selfish person deserves to be punished. Contrary to this, however, showing yourself to me, you have made me drink nectar. You have mortified me by saying that you have become my debtor. Now I am thinking what to do. I would be presumptuous to ask you to pardon all my offenses. 5, 7, 8, 1,000, or 1,000,000. I can definitely say it must be more than 100,000 billion. But let be all the fruits of my past activities received and yet to be received. Previously, I compared your dark limbs to the monsoon cloud, to the blue water lily, and to the sapphire. I compared your effulgent face to the moon and your tender feet to newly sprouted leaves. Now, these analogies seem like a pile of burned mustard seeds compared to a golden mountain, or like a chickpea in comparison to a touchstone, like a jackal in comparison to a lion, or a mosquito in comparison to Garuda. Meaning, all these comparisons that we see in the Shastra is actually not the right analogy at all. But there isn't anything more that can be used to describe. So, which means that just we can imagine what is the beauty of Krishna. By my poor intelligence, I have clearly committed offense to you. Such inapt poetry meant as praise unto you is accepted by common people. Mm. A devotee saying this is a offense by comparing you to unworthy things, incomparable things. I am like an unsettled cow threatened by the sudden appearance of your glorious form. But I cannot defile the desire tree of your beauty, even with my destructive comparisons. I cannot defile. Defile means uh, like spoil, I think. Yeah, spoil. So you're saying even by my destructive comparisons, not just inappropriate, they're destructive. Even with that, I cannot spoil the desire tree of your beauty. In this way, the devotee profusely praises the Lord, and the Lord reveals to the devotee, endowed with sentiments as a lover or other moods as much as possible, everything the devotee desires in relation to the Lord's pastimes, filled with the quality of prasad. So everything he reveals, everything manifests. Sri Vrindavana, the desire tree, the Mahayoga Pita, the most dear daughter of Rishabhanu. Radharani is also manifests. Her associates such as Lalita and other servants, his own friends such as Subala, and protected animals such as the cows, Yamuna river, Govardhana, forests such as Bhandira, Nandishwara hill, all the mothers, fathers, brothers, friends, and servants there, and the houses. The Lord submerges the devotee in the enchanting tidal wave of various types of bliss and then disappears with his entourage. So finally, everything is revealed to the devotee, everything, the spiritual world. And then the Lord disappears. Recovering consciousness after some moments, the devotee, anxious to see the Lord again, opens his eyes and not seeing the Lord, he begins crying. Was I merely dreaming? No, no, I was not dreaming because I have neither drowsiness nor any contamination in my eyes from sleep. Was it some hallucination or witchcraft? No, for witchcraft could never give you such bliss. Or was it for from some defect in the mind? No, because all the symptoms of unsteady mind such as laya and vikshepa are totally absent. Was it the fulfillment of some material desire? No, no material fancy could ever approach what I've seen. Was it a momentary meeting, spurti, with the Lord? No, because it is completely different from all previous visions of the Lord that I remember. In this way, the devotee remains in uncertainty. Lying upon the dusty earth, he prays constantly for the same experience, but not obtaining it. He laments, rolls on the ground, weeps, wounds his own body, faints, recovers, stands, sits, runs about, and wails like a mad man. Sometimes he remains silent like a sage, and sometimes like a social misfit. He fails to perform his daily obligatory duties. So this is the state where he is completely disconnected, from it just doesn't know because he's in lamentation. Like a person possessed of spirits or affected by evil planets, he talks incoherently. And to a devotee friend who comes asking privately what ails him, he explains what he has experienced. When the friend explains that it was by good fortune a direct meeting with the Lord, satisfied, he recovers and becomes happy. But then again, he laments, how can I attain that experience again? Was it the result of a shower of mercy from some great devotee? Or was it the result somehow, sometime, of some past honest endeavor in serving the Lord, though I am most unfortunate? Or perhaps it was simply the causeless mercy of the Lord upon the lowest of the low, filled with unworthy qualities. By some indescribable fortune, I have attained the Lord. But then, because of a grave offense, I have lost him again. With muddled intelligence, unconscious, I cannot ascertain the truth. Where shall I go? What shall I do? By what means should I succeed? Whom should I ask? I am completely vacant, without soul, without shelter, scorched by a conflagration. The whole world gazes upon me, ready to devour me. Giving up this worldly association, I will live in solitude for a while. Doing this, he laments further, lotus faced Lord, flowing with streams of nectar, bedecked with fragrant garlands, which scent all the forests, attracting swarm of vibrating bees. Just for a moment, may I serve your lordship again? Having once tasted your sweetness, I cannot aspire for anything else. He begins to roll on the ground, breathe heavily, faint, and lose his mind. Suddenly, seeing the Lord everywhere, he rejoices, embraces him, laughs, dances, and sings. And when the Lord disappears again, he becomes filled with remorse and weeps. Being extraordinary in behavior, he withdraws his very life symptoms and he loses awareness of whether he still has a body or not. Then, not aware that his material body has passed to the elements, he understands only that his desired Lord, the ocean of mercy, has manifested himself, engaged him in service, and is leading him to his own home. So he doesn't even know that he died. He just left his body. He doesn't know. Thus, the devotee reaches the goal of life. So, who says a devotee dies? Is this death? आदौ श्रद्धा तथा साधु संगता भजन क्रिया तो नमत निवृत्ति स्यात् ततो निष्ठा रुचिस्तथा तथासक्तिस्ततो भावस्ततः प्रेमाभ्युदञ्चति साधकानामयं प्रेम्णा प्रादुर्भाव भवेत् क्रमः. First, there is association with devotees by which one gains faith. Then one associates with devotees to learn the scriptures and then practices bhakti. The anarthas and are then destroyed. Steady bhakti without confusion follows. Desire for the Lord appears. This is followed by spontaneous desire for the Lord. This becomes bhava and then prema. This is the progression for manifesting prema for those performing sadhana bhakti. The stages of devotion mentioned in this verse have been described accurately. Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, and Mahabhava, successively specialized tastes are fruits growing on progressively higher branches of the creeper of bhakti. Because the body of the devotee cannot tolerate the friction of extremes of heat and cold of all those states, they are not manifested in his body, and thus these states have not been described here. So one cannot experience this Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Mahabhava, the material body. So only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed this and Radharani. And of course, in the spiritual world, one can experience. But here, because the devotee can't experience, they don't manifest in the body. Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema, which can be experienced, have been described. But aiming at real comprehension of these states, the scriptural evidences were not supplied, since introduction of those proofs would produce a harshness in comprehension, harshness. So if scriptural evidence is provided in the interspersing in the middle, then it produces harshness in comprehension, meaning we will not be able to comprehend the subject nicely. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is now supplying evidence for all this. How Bhagavatam talks about Ruchi. So already Nishta we spoke about. Nishta, Nashta Prayashu Abhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke, Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Then from Nishta one comes to Ruchi. Having attained an excellent taste for the Lord, my intelligence did not waver. This is Narada Muni from the Lord. By my intelligence, I directly experienced that my gross and subtle bodies created by the Lord's material energy were fixed only in the Supreme Lord. So basically here Ruchi. Tasmin stada labdha rucher mahamate rucher ruchi. Then asya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam asaktam bandhaya ratam hiva pumsi muktaye. The mind is the cause of bondage and liberation of the jiva. Attachment to the gunas. So attachment, asakti, then bhava, by the mercy of the sages who are chanting. So in the life of Narada Muni, we can see all this about the attractive pastimes of Krishna daily. I heard about Krishna in that place with asakti. Hearing constantly, I then developed rati for Krishna. So asakti and rati both happen here. That is our asakti and bhava both just by the hearing process of hearing the attractive pastimes of Krishna daily. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Prema. My limbs covered in distinct goosebumps out of excessive prema filled with delight. I fainted out of bliss and could not see myself or the Lord. So again Narada Muni in chapter 6 of first canto. Right, so he experiences all this. So all these qualities are there. It exists described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is a proof. Okay, so some of these I'm just skipping. So there are some symptoms also which have already been discussed, which have been referred in Bhagavatam. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving those references. Spurti also is giving. Yeah. The basic truth is as follows. Ahankara is of two types. Ahanta and Mamata. Ram and Mama. By Gnana, these two are destroyed and liberation is attained. By directing these towards body and house, bondage results. So it's just concluding, like one page, I think there's a summary. Yeah. So Aham and Mama, we have to give up. I am the follower of the Lord. I am the servant of the Lord. The Lord with his associates, an ocean of sweetness with his form and qualities and pastimes, is to be served by me. If one thinks in this way, identifying oneself as the Lord's servant and making the Lord and his followers the object of one's possession, it is called prema. Possession. The important part is possession. Making the Lord and his devotees our possession. It's called prema. Prema is different from both bondage and liberation and is thus called the crown jewel of human goals, Panchama Purushartha. There is an order of spiritual development based on this. When the materialistic aspect of Hanta and Mamata is extremely deep, one remains in the cycle of birth and death. And Aham and Mama, when it is very deep, we remain in the cycle of birth and death. When a causeless particle of faith develops and one thinks of becoming a Vaishnava, So please remember, when we give up this aham and mama, only we can become a Vaishnava. When a causeless particle of faith, and how do we want to become Vaishnava? When there is a causeless particle of faith which develops. And one thinks of becoming a Vaishnava and serving the Lord, ahanta and mamata become slightly spiritualized, and the jiva becomes qualified for devotional service. So this is the initial stage. Slightly aham and mama slightly reduces. It was so much that the devotee didn't, and that the jiva doesn't want anything apart from himself. But now when it slightly reduces, he wants to serve Krishna. At the stage of sadhu sangha, the tinge of spiritualizations becomes more concrete. Material attachment is still deep. The stage of anishtita bhajana, where the spiritualization is localized in one place, whereas the material aspect is in full force. At the stage of nishta, spiritualization becomes more pervasive and the materialistic influence decreases somewhat. The stage of ruchi, spiritualization of me and mine becomes dominant and the materialistic aspect becomes localized. At the stage of asakti, the spiritual aspect becomes complete and the material aspect becomes a trace. At the stage of bhava, the spiritual aspect becomes thorough and the material aspect becomes a shadow, abhasa. Stage of prema, the spiritual aspect becomes extremely intense, parama atyantiki, and the material aspect is completely absent. So how this aham and mama decreases as we progress in bhakti, attachment to nishta and bhajana, then attachment to the processes, and then attachment to the Lord, then the initial experience of the bliss, unprecedented bliss of Krishna Prema, and then Prema itself appears. So as we make progress, the materials or as the material decreases, the spiritual increases, right? At the stage of bhajana kriya, meditation on the Lord is mixed with other topics and is temporary. At the stage of nishta, meditation on the Lord has a trace of other topics. So even here, nishta, there's a trace of other topics. Stage of ruchi, other topics are absent. And so when we know whether we have reached ruchi, when the other topics they don't distract us at all. Even in nishta, there is little trace of other topics, but at the stage of ruchi, other topics are absent and the meditation is long lasting. Now, this meditation doesn't mean that we are simply sitting in one place and just simply thinking about Krishna. It is Krishna, his devotees, serving the mission, serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All this is included here. But there's no materialism, there are no material thoughts, material engagement, material absorption, nothing. At the stage of asakti, this meditation becomes deep. During bhava, by meditation, the Lord appears in the mind, spurti. So this becomes so deep that Lord appears. Achieving prema along with the special appearance of the Lord in the mind, there is direct association with the Lord. Mm. So along with appearance of the Lord in the mind, there is direct association. This is prema. May the sweet bank of clouds satisfy the world by distributing its rasa lifted from the ocean of sweetness, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Mm. All glories to His Holiness, His Divine Grace, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. What an amazing description. Okay, speechless. I'll stop. Anything anybody wants to say, comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can in the 18 faults, no, Prabhuji, there's this exhaustion. What exactly does that mean? The others you can suffering, fickleness, intoxication, envy, violence, exhaustion, toil, lying, anger, hankering, worrying, absorption is in worldly affairs, prejudice, and dependency on others. EXHAUSTION.
Exhaustion.
Page number 5.
Exhaustion. Oh, exhaustion is like, it's like when we do something, we get exhausted with that. It's a fault. Like
feeling tired is a fault.
Yeah. Feeling tired is a fault. No, because in bhakti there's no feeling tired.
No problem. Okay.
See, we toil here. See here, you can see, na. So here, see, okay, 18 faults are bewilderment. Okay, that we understand.
Yes.
Sleep is a fault. Error is a fault. Okay, material attachment is a fault. Material lust is a fault. Fickleness is a fault. Not being fixed on doing anything is a fault. Intoxication is a fault. Envy is a fault. Violence is a fault. Exhaustion, toil.
Yes.
So suppose say we are toiling, right? Toil is, how can toil be a fault, right? So we are when we are putting in effort, right, and then we don't put enough effort, we get exhausted. So we can read this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You have Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu,
Yes,
Mataji,
Prabhu. Yes,
original?
I have done it, read it also, but I think
What does
you
it
have.
say? 1 second, let me just pick up. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2:1. 246. Yeah. Okay. Jiva, however, the same bad qualities considered good qualities in Krishna. Deep exhaustion. Yeah. Tandra Kheda Parishrama. Sometimes Lord Krishna grew tired from fighting. So this, yeah, same thing, right? See, we cannot get tired, exhausted from an activity, right? And lay down at the base of a tree, resting upon a bed of soft twigs and buds, and using the lap of a coward friend as his pillow. So that's what it is. See, sleep, exhaustion, and toil are one category. So here actually, Jiva Goswami in his commentary is categorizing these faults, right? So he's categorizing sleep, exhaustion, and toil together, right? This is what it is, right? We toil, we get exhausted, we sleep. So this is a fault. So in Krishna also demonstrates these faults, but they are qualities because it brings out Krishna's sweetness.
Toil means in the material world, like you
Yeah,
work like a donkey,
yeah,
then you
yeah,
get
correct.
exhausted,
Then you get
and then you
exhausted and you
sleep.
sleep.
So
Yeah,
that
correct.
excessive sleeping, excessive working,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that means you shouldn't push yourself to the point
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah,
exhaustion.
absolutely, absolutely. This is called over endeavor,
Okay,
right?
yes, Prabhu.
This is called over endeavor. So we have to endeavor, but we should not over endeavor.
Over endeavor. So one second, Prabhu. Even in
Yeah.
while doing it when you're doing it spiritually and you get
You should
exhausted,
exhaust. You should
then you
exhaust. You
should
should
exhaust.
just, you should
Exhaust.
just,
Yes.
it's just
Exhaust.
opposite.
Yes,
Whatever should not be done on the material platform should be done on the spiritual
right.
platform. Simple.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, got it.
Okay, nice.
Thank you,
Mataji,
Prabhu.
sharp
No,
observation.
no, no problem, because it was that word was catching on to me. I was not understanding, so I thought
Okay,
thank you, Prabhu.
okay. Okay. So
Hare
how many
Krishna.
of us want? How many of us want this? Many of us want to experience this. Hmm. How many of us want to experience this? Not toil and exhaustion. I'm saying how many of us want to experience this stage of prema? I want to.
Everybody,
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 Prabhu.
No,
everybody.
no, no, not everybody. Not everybody. Nobody is saying anything. Uh, I want to. I want. What do we do?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Uh,
If you do practice, then it will be habituated. Otherwise, it will be painful. Suddenly, one day, if you will do
mm,
overwork, then it will be automatically it will be exhausted.
okay, so we have to do
If
sadhana.
you do practice,
Mm,
then automatically body will be accounted.
mm, okay. Okay, anyway, body is
Pranam,
one thing, right?
Prabhuji.
Yeah, Pranam Mataji. But just this, the what should be, why did we read this book, first of all? This is not Prabhupada's book. Why did we read this book? Right? Because we have to raise above all our challenges, everything that is there around us. How do we raise above all this? We don't have the inspiration, we don't have the motivation to raise above all this. We are stuck in our own life challenges, material attachments, etc., etc., etc. Right? The only thing that is the really ray of like life for us, right, or dose of life for us is this goal that we should always picturize in front of ourselves, where Krishna is becomes manifest in front of us. When I read this, I felt like, oh my God, I mean, how can we not attempt to achieve this stage? How can we just have any other goal in life? It's just waste. It's just a waste of life. Spending life to do accumulate more material possessions, trying to enjoy them, trying to enjoy material relationships, la, puja, pratishtha, all nonsense. What is all this? What is this material world in front of just one this? Amazing experience with Krishna. And this is nothing. This is just the beginning of this blissful life in Goloka. So when I read this, I said, only if I'm foolish will I not work towards it. There cannot be any other reason. Right? It's just unprecedented bliss. I cannot even imagine. It's inconceivable. And it's available. It's just right there. It's in front of us. It's in our hands. Why would an intelligent person not want to, not strive to achieve this? This was my thought when I read this first. And I then put that in my, I then made one, after I read this book, I made one presentation on chanting. That was my chanting workshop content, right? And the first part of the chanting workshop was just this, saying, what is it that we can experience? And then the rest of the workshop was hammering to get out of all the other nonsense, right? But if you start the hammering without giving the taste of what, why go through that rigor at all, if we don't know what we are working towards, yeah, we've heard multiple times Krishna Prema, but what is it? How does it manifest? What does a devotee experience? When we when we read all this, we feel like absolutely, I want it, and I don't want anything else. We should get to this state. That's the idea of this book. Yeah, Ruchira Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, after this, we read we could actually see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Yeah.
was in his last stage. And Prabhuji, one more thing, they have mentioned when devotee and Lord is they are interacting, that it is a matter of many lifetimes. So
Yeah. We've also gone through many lifetimes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come here. We wouldn't have
mm,
been here. We wouldn't have come to, like I keep
no,
saying,
for
right? See,
attaining perfection also,
yeah. We've already gone through.
we fall short in one lifetime. Now it
No,
is
but we
what
have
I
not
feel
come
like.
to we have not come to bhakti in this life alone. Otherwise, we won't have seriousness in bhakti. Seriousness in bhakti,
Okay.
either Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says that either it is because of your previous lives or some great mercy by some devotee or directly great mercy by Krishna, right? So
Okay. And
normally,
once
normally
sorry.
it is that we've all gone through sadhana. That's why I said, the same topic, how many people are even getting to hear this? I mean, it's just that we seem to have that qualification, so we are hearing, right? And that qualification is mercy, basically. But over years of sadhana, then mercy from our guru. That is why I said that, na, like Sri Ram Swami Maharaj is saying that we are right there, few steps away from the gate of Goloka, right? So um unnecessarily trivializing our position in the name of humility is not good. We should be realistic. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm few steps away. Why don't I go? Why don't I go forward? Why am I thinking that I'm not qualified, not qualified? Krishna is opening the door. We are saying not qualified. No, it's okay. We're not qualified, doesn't matter. No, Krishna is calling us. We are qualified. We become qualified. That is our qualification. So it's actually, I mean, we've done sadhana. We've gone through. It's not, it's not when Bhagavatam is saying a devotee who's chanting the names of Krishna has done all other yagna, yaga, read scriptures, etc. It is true. Otherwise, how would a person come to this stage of accepting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, of accepting bhakti as the goal of life? Oh, it's not easy. It's just not easy. People are still wandering at different stages, and we are so fortunate somehow we've come to this path of bhakti and topmost, the process which will give us the topmost position. So it's not ordinary at all. But it's in our hands whether we want to waste it, we want to utilize it, we want to stick to it, perfect our life. That's in our hands.
Yes, Prabhuji. But after reading this, like we are spellbound. Like I have no words to express like such sweetness. And Prabhuji, once a person, a devotee attains this stage, he'll not be able to survive in the world.
Yeah,
No?
yeah, you will not be
Like
there.
it
Yeah,
was the end. It was written no, that he left his.
yeah, he will give up
Thank
his,
you, Prabhuji, for
but he will
taking up
give
this
up.
book.
Yeah, yeah, but he will give up this body if Krishna wants. See, at that stage, it's just completely Krishna's decision, right? He might keep the devotee, he might take away the devotee, whatever. It's up to Krishna, right? But literally, the devotee anyway is not even existing on the material platform. So, uh,
Yes, and thank you for taking up this book because I didn't have the courage to read it alone. Once I asked His Grace Keshwanand Prabhuji to
mm,
how do we know at which stage we are? So he
mm.
asked me that you should read that book.
Oh,
It's
is
been
it
a year
okay?
or so.
I'm
Yeah,
thanking.
he
I'm
told me
thankful
that
that
you should read
I
that.
I'm
Mhm.
not transgressing. Okay, all the seniors are also
No,
saying the
no.
same thing.
He told me. So I didn't dare to buy or so I'm
Okay.
really grateful to you that you enabled us
Yeah,
to
maybe it was your
like
desire that Krishna made me take up the book.
But Prabhuji, I'm
Okay.
still waiting for my copy. Like maybe I'll
You're
get
still
it.
waiting for your copy?
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Oh,
Yes.
Krishna. Okay, let me check.
Mm,
I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't take so much time.
No,
Okay.
it is like posted from your side. Maybe there is some problem here. I don't know.
Okay, did you check at
Mm,
the post office once?
No, actually, I'm also new to this place now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Chalo, I'll see.
See if there is some,
Uh,
that forward that I made, or if there's any further details required, I can try to get it from the devotee who posted.
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
Okay, sure, Madhurya.
Danvat
Okay.
Pranam. Thank you
Dandavat,
so much.
Madhurya. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. If anybody else have anything else to say, otherwise we can. Okay. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Guru Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhishta Kripa Sindhu Hare
Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam, Prabhu.